Hey everybody, it's LavenderTowne. And I'm not gonna lie, half this video was inspired by this picture of Jacob Elordi and Rachel Ziegler. They look like the far ends of a Pokemon evolution. Beauty standards for men and women are always changing, and every culture has differences as well. For example, for the Wodabe people in Chad, men wear flashier and more colorful cosmetics than the girls and women. And the beauty standards between men and women in Korea share many qualities, with both men and women being rewarded for smooth, flawless skin and tall, slender physiques. But I've noticed that in the US lately, the beauty standard between men and women has become super extreme and polarized, with the it girls being tiny, with dainty, youthful faces and smooth skin, whereas for guys, ultra-tall and buff actors and influencers with insanely chiseled faces are rising to the top. Since the list of desirable features have become so disparate between the two, I thought it would be fun to try and design two characters featuring the opposite beauty ideals from popular culture. Okay, so I've collected up some of the basic guy ideals, that's guy ideals, and girl expectations, which is girl expectations. Here are some of the main things I'm going to be focusing on. Tall, obviously, broad-shouldered and muscled and craggled. Now, this I'm kind of talking about like how in a men's magazine you see the guys like they've actually like upped the contrast to make them look like as like I don't even know how to, you see the divots and stuff in their muscles in their face. The jaw big and sharp thing, this has become really huge, like the trend of like guys mewing and stuff to try to get their jaw more defined and have that like, you know, handsome Squidward kind of face. A straight nose, this is less of a common thing for people to talk about, but I have definitely noticed that in general, like having a straighter nose on guys seems to be more desirable or like more common with celebrities and stuff. Positive canthal tilt, this is some like weird, I think this comes from like weird incel communities. Anyway, it just means that the eyes are going like up at the ends. It's kind of like a cat eye for girls. This I just mentioned because it was weird and I'm going to try to incorporate it on our girl character. And then the last one that I thought of was like big hands. I notice a lot of like the romance novel girls, they are very interested in this, and like I feel like this has become a big like ideal thing for men in our culture. Alright, so now it's time to draw our most handsome girl possible. I'm going to try and include as many of the traits that I have listed, as well as talking about some other things as they come up that I noticed showing up over and over in images of like guy celebrities, guy models, that kind of thing. Now, when I was drawing her, I was trying to think a lot about what I've been seeing also on social media. I feel like this is one of the first times in a while where even like teen boys are feeling a lot of the social pressure that historically teen girls are more familiar with, particularly this idea of like breaking down your appearance into pieces, like your jawline, your height, your musculature. These are things that I feel like it didn't used to be as much of a thing, like in the early 2000s and the 90s. A guy was just like good looking or not. And now I feel like maybe because of filters, social media, who knows, it's kind of fallen also on guys to be like this hypercritical, sort of like looking at all the pieces of yourself, divorced from your total body, but like you're just thinking about every little fraction of your appearance and trying to optimize it, which I think is interesting. I don't necessarily think it's a good thing, because I don't feel like the path towards equality is making everyone suffer equally, but it is interesting and something to note. So one of the things I definitely wanted to feature was the jawline. There's so much content online about like mewing and trying to make your jaw really sharp and make your face very like ideal structure. So that's something I wanted to apply onto her face, and I immediately noticed it made her look more like a male character right away. This is such a like gendered beauty feature to men specifically. I also made sure she was taking up space. There is a huge difference I noticed, not just in, you know, the types of bodies that we promote when it comes to male celebrities versus female celebrities, but also how we pose them. And one of the things I really noticed when I was looking at pictures of male models and male celebrities is that they have a much more open posture. Their shoulders are more likely to be squared at the camera, whereas with female celebrities, I kept seeing these pictures where they've turned their shoulders and they're They turn their face and their shoulders in line with each other so that their body is looking smaller and slimmer, and just taking up a smaller amount of the visual space in the photo. This is such an interesting exercise as a character designer and an artist, because it's hard for you to even really think in a conscious way about all the biases you have when you're developing a male character versus a female character until you intentionally try and detangle them like I'm doing here. I would just never draw a girl with these kind of facial features if I wasn't really consciously doing it. I have a lot of like defaults that I just automatically start drawing in. And I think it's probably really healthy and good to do this every once in a while, just so that you're aware of what your impulses are, and where those are coming from, if that's genuinely part of your art practice, or if this is something that you're just repeating because you've seen it so many times. For girl expectations, tiny and skinny waist, these are two different things. Like overall tininess, like being small. I think we've had a lot of different eras where girls being tall has also been good, like the supermodel era in the 90s. But I feel like right now we're in this thing where like height differences are considered really cute. So the girls always expected to be just like super, super small. And I've definitely noticed with the rise of like Jenna Ortega and like other actresses who are just like really tiny, I'm seeing more of that. Smooth and poreless skin, this has been pretty consistent. Like you see a lot of like Photoshop mess ups where like they're literally like going Jeff the Killer mode on the actresses or models' faces, where like all that's left is like nostrils and eyes. Juicy lips, this has definitely been a thing ever since like the lip kit. It's become a part of our cultural standard for quite a while now, and I don't see it going away. Small upturned nose, again, this has been pretty consistent. If you look at even actresses from like the 80s and 90s, this is stuck around, and I don't think it's going anywhere. Big eyes, same here. No body hair. This has been pretty consistent, and it's pretty strict. I feel like people are talking about like waxing and shaving more and more parts of their body. So that's definitely something to think about. And then form-fitting clothes. This is more something that I don't feel like people talk about, but I think it actually goes along with like this and the whole idea of not taking up too much space. So you're trying to make sure that your clothes also aren't like bulking you out at all. All right, now it's time to draw our ultimate pretty boy and design him. We're gonna start with him in this pose that I talked about earlier, with the shoulder up, kind of coyly looking over the shoulder and turning the body away to the side of the camera. This is a pose that you never see a male actor or celebrity doing without it being like a joke. So this is a really good start, I feel like, to the challenge. He's gonna have obviously no arm hair or anything like that. And in general, I'm just trying to keep his facial features looking more in line with the feminine ideal that we see in celebrities and it girls of today. So he is going to have the small upturned nose, the more like heart-shaped face with the softer jaw, and bigger eyes with fuller lips. Now again, like I kind of experienced when I was drawing our handsome girl, it's amazing how just applying some of these facial features immediately starts to read more as a girl character, especially in a more exaggerated cartoony style. These things are just, they're so frequently tied to the character's gender when it comes to cartoon depictions and everything. It's like they're totally intertwined culturally, I feel like. So, of course, he's not going to have any, like, of the craggliness that I applied to the girl character on her face. Obviously, all of that gets reduced anyway with a cartoon art style, but you can definitely show it with a few carefully placed lines, and I'm not going to place any of those on his face, so no wrinkles of any kind, and no sort of depiction of the cheekbones or anything like that. We're going for super smooth and youthful looking, and that was the thing that I definitely started to notice. I was like, this character, the boy character with like girl social expectations applied, looks so young, like so much younger, like a you know, like an adolescent, rather than like a teen or an adult, which I think is really interesting because like I've definitely heard that you know, our beauty standards for women is getting more and more obsessed with youth, but it becomes really clear when you're applying it to a male character because it starts to look more weird, because it's not something we're used to. So yeah, definitely he looks really, really sweet, very cute and dainty, and those are just not things I think that we usually associate with our male characters. So here I am kind of like shrinking him down. I just tried to make their heads the same size, and man, the overall size of them actually almost perfectly matches the height and mass difference between Jacob Elordi and Lucy Gray Baird, which I think is a nice detail. I didn't even necessarily plan that. That's just kind of how it turned out. Now I'm going to draw them together as if they are in a Riverdale high school together, i.e. they are adults, but in a corny high school setting. So he's going to be a cheerleader for our female football player. I just thought this would be a fun way to sort of show their like dynamic towards each other and like the different ways that we sort of slot different characters based on their gender into certain roles. Originally, I was planning on having the illustration of them together at the end of the video be more of like a romantic one where she's like sort of aggressively pursuing him, but I ended up not even wanting to do it because I thought it would look so creepy because she looks so much older than him, and I think that that's kind of interesting. It really made me think. The thing I really hope that everyone takes away from this video, other than that artists should try this and it's kind of fun going against the standard default when it comes to designing your characters, is also just to keep in mind that like anytime you're feeling bad for not being handsome or beautiful enough, like that it's kind of based on this constantly shifting list of prerequisites that are entirely made up. You know, like the beauty standard, it literally changes based on location and time all the time. So it's really important not to put too much stock in being the ideal at the time, because even if you are for a moment, it will change again. So it's really important to find your like respect for yourself in other places, because otherwise you're just going to be sad and chasing it all of your life, and you really don't want to be doing that. Oh, I should mention I tried to use some reference for the muscles on our female character from pictures of lean beef patty on Instagram. Thank you to her for that. Finding pictures of really muscular girls who aren't like totally like, you know, tanned, oiled up bodybuilders is kind of tricky sometimes, so I was appreciative to that. In general, I just really like how these characters turned out. Like, I think my girl character in particular, I think she looks really neat. I kind of want to like redesign her tattoos and give her like a sleeve or something. I have a couple little like adjustments and changes I'd like to make on her. For my male character, I'm like less satisfied with it for whatever reason. I definitely want to make a few changes on him as well and just try to make him look a little more interesting. I think because I've seen this character type in anime more, he feels less intriguing to me, and I definitely feel like I could push it farther and get to a more interesting result. But all that being said, I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know if you have any ideas for videos in the future, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Huge thank you to my wonderful patrons, including Twink on a Sink, Raccoon Jam, The Aidenverse, Scott Wilson, Grexius, Olia, Liddy Savior, Brandon Stark, CB, Cosby F, Luciano Jiki, Liv, Salty Jackrabbit, Ravens Crow, Zocelot, T-Hill Music, Jabber Dabber Doo, Kadarius, Deadly Nightshade Art, Astral Fox Art, The Expressive Poker Face, Tsuvaki, Cutie Pie, Ice Cream Pal, JJ Jade, and of course, blah 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 blah.